Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Bob Daleo. I'm the chairman of the Board of Trustees of Fordham University. As you know by now, this morning the trustees met and unanimously voted Tanya Tetlow as the 33rd president of Fordham University, effective July 1, 2022. This was the culmination of an extensive national search. And the committee, which included two Jesuits, worked closely with Jesuit leaders, including the provincial and the rector of the Jesuit community at Fordham, to identify candidates, both Jesuit and layperson, with a deep knowledge of and commitment to the goals and ideals of Jesuit education. We started with a deep and talented pool of over 150 candidates, and through the hard work of the search committee, we ultimately narrowed down to 4 finalists who were forwarded to the board for consideration. Tanya Tetlow's leadership skills and Loyola successes in academics, programmatic, and fundraising, and how she is so much beloved at Loyola for her compassion and transparent leadership, quickly made the choice of the board easier. And today, we want to introduce you to Tanya as the 33rd president, but first I would like to turn it over to our current president, our beloved Father Joseph M. McShane, S.J.
Thank you very much, Bob. I want to add my words of welcome to those that you've already heard from Bob. This is a wonderful day for the university. It's a historic day for the university, and let's be honest about that. For this morning, as Bob said, the board voted unanimously to elect Tanya Tetlow as the 33rd president of the university. Now, the university is 180 years old, and the Jesuits have been at Fordham for 175 years. And for the last 180 years, and 175 years, the president has always been a cleric, always worn a collar, always been a man. So today, we made history. The board made history, the university made history, and made it with gusto, with enthusiasm, and with great commitment. We chose, the members of the board, we chose Tanya Tetlow to be the 33rd president of Fordham. Now, I know people worry about that. They say, how did this happen? Look, let me put it in the context of our history. You know, Dagger John was no wilting wallflower. He was a man who was willing to take action when action was called for, and he was also a man who was willing to stretch when stretches were called for. He met the moment, he met the challenge of every moment, leaned into it, and did what was best. That's how we were founded. So if people say to me, what do you think Dagger John would say, Archbishop Hughes would say about the choice of our new president, I would say he would be delighted. He'd be thrilled, because it does enable us to continue the great ministry that Fordham has had for 180, 175 years in service of the church and in service of the people of the church in a special way. So it's a great day. It really is, and I'm delighted to have been part of it. And in another bit of context, if I might, you know, years ago, when I entered the society back in 1967 and became a Jesuit, there were about 8,000 Jesuits in the United States, 8,000. And the province that I entered, New York, which, you know, is New York, northern New Jersey, Puerto Rico, parts of the Philippines, and parts of Nigeria and Ghana, that province alone had 1,460 Jesuits. And my entering class was 35 men. Now, this year is an entirely different, we're in an entirely different place. This year, the entire country only had 34 men enter, whereas in 1967, there were probably 235, and New York had 35 of them. So our numbers have changed and changed dramatically. Right now, there are only 2,086 Jesuits in the United States, whereas back in 1967, there were about 8,000. So when the board, you know, began the search, formed the search committee, and charged the search committee with looking very, very hard at whether or not we could find a Jesuit successor, you know, to the 32nd president, myself, I'm telling you, they were very serious and very, very committed to it. But they ran up against the problem of the moment. There are very few Jesuits, 2,086, as I said, and the average age is over 70. So there were very few men available, if at all. Now, people say, well, what about Tanya? I'll tell you about Tanya. I think Tanya is an exceptional choice, a spectacular choice for the university. I've known her for 4 years, since she became the president of Loyola in New Orleans. And in her tenure at Loyola, she has done great things, truly great things. Loyola New Orleans had to deal with a number of challenges, not least of which was challenges connected with hurricanes, and also, confidence in the university to sustain itself in a very difficult moment. Tanya went in and she really transformed the place. She's practical and visionary at the same time, a rare combination. And as a result of that, she was able to right the ship of state, make Loyola not only sound, but really, I would say, really serene and strong. So, people say, as I say, they'll say to me, why not a Jesuit? And I say, why not Tanya Tetlow? She is the perfect choice, the perfect candidate. And moreover, she's a child of Fordham, quite literally. Her parents met and fell in love at Fordham. So today is, for us, a day of great rejoicing. And for Tanya Tetlow, this is homecoming. And so it is my great honor, and I do mean that, my great honor to introduce to you the 33rd president of Fordham University. 33rd, she's Harry Truman. The 33rd president of Fordham University, Tanya Tetlow, who is a dear friend of mine and a great, great administrator. Tanya?
Thank you so much, Joe, and welcome to all of you who are watching. I know that there are students and faculty and staff and parents and alumni. My mother was very tickled to get an email invitation to this webinar yesterday as an alumna of Fordham to introduce her to the new president of Fordham University. My parents did meet here, and just to make it all the more interesting, my father was a Jesuit for 17 years, and he met my mom, who was studying theology at Fordham, and had the very hard decision to make of following the greater call he felt to have a family. And I hope that in raising me and my sisters so steeped in the church, in the Jesuit charism, in the Jesuit way of proceeding and thinking of the world, that he has really done right by both his family and by the Jesuits. And my mom is theologian. My childhood was made up of lots of conversations at the dinner table about biblical history and the original meaning of various texts in Aramaic and all sorts of things. So I got a Jesuit education from birth, born in New York and then raised in New Orleans, where my father's family is from. And my little bit of rebellion was to go to non-Jesuit institutions. I went to Tulane and Harvard Law School. I had a career as a lawyer and prosecutor, and then came to Tulane Law School to teach, where I ran a domestic violence clinic and wrote about issues of the Constitution and criminal justice. But that pull of the Jesuits and the church where I went, Ignatius Chapel at Loyola, and heard homilies from Jesuits, thousands of them over the years. My uncle, Father Joe Tetlow, is a much beloved and renowned expert on Ignatian spirituality and is kind of my personal guru for all wisdom in the world. So I came to Loyola with great joy, and it has been an incredible privilege to be part of the transformation of Loyola, of getting it through a difficult period, and to be part of a community that is so full of warmth and love and just amazing accomplishment. And so it is on very strong ground. And when Fordham came calling, the idea of coming back to this place that has loomed so large in my family, of being part of the sheer excellence of academics at this institution, of the possibilities that New York, as one of the most exciting city in the world, offers to reach outward, to provide opportunities for our students, for our faculty, was just a thrill. And so I am so honored to be here with you, and I'm so excited to be part of this community. I want to meet each of you and talk to you, the faculty, to ask you what you're working on, to tell me about your research and your scholarship, to tell me about the students that you love. For the staff to really understand what drives this place in ways that you forever are working to make it better, more efficient, more effective, and to be part of that with you, to be part of creating the kind of community that Ignatius taught us to create. And for students, most of all, I cannot wait to be part of your community, to have you push me to teach me things, to listen hard to you, to be part of the joy that you bring to the work that we do. You know, you're secretly the fuel for all the rest of us. And we really felt that in COVID when we had less access to you, of how much you are the thing that drives us in higher education. And the alumni, to meet you, to hear about how Fordham changed your life and all of the things that you've done since then to really demonstrate that, of how this is a place that not only gave you the tools to succeed in life, but to understand that success is about the kind of person you become, the life of integrity that you leave, the change you make in the world. So I am thrilled to be part of this community. I will be joining you this summer. I come with my husband, Gordon, who is from Glasgow, Scotland. So he has a wonderful accent and is an incredible mind and helps me think through all sorts of problems. We have a stepson, Noah, who lives mostly in Scotland, but will be with us as often as he can and is very excited about this. And a 9-year-old daughter, Lucy, who is really excited about the family adventure, along with a golden retriever who's not very well behaved, Archie, who you will see on campus with us. So we are, all of us, excited to come to New York, to be part of Fordham, to be home.